In this video, I'm going to be going over all the differences between going to a Premier League game, a Championship game, a League One, and a League Two game. So obviously the first difference would be the stadium style and capacity. When we went to the AFC Wimbledon Stadium, and they are in League One, the stadium was obviously appropriately sized for the league, but when you can compare it to a Tottenham, which is absolutely massive 66,000 seat stadium and shaped like a futuristic UFO as opposed to the classic box shape that most stadiums have, it definitely compares a lot differently. At the Charlton game, the two stands that we were facing were both the same size, and the stand we were in was a bit bigger, and then the away end was a lot smaller and also detached from the rest of the stadium, which I thought was a little unique because all the other stadiums we had been to, all the stadium was enclosed and all just like one massive piece. But the Charlton game, they had a very separate stadium for the away fans to be in almost, just because of how that stand was organized. Also at Leighton, in the League Two game, they were another one that had the same size shape, box squared stadium, and one grand big stand, and we were obviously sat in the corner on the main stand, which gave us a cool point of view because we got to see the whole rest of the stadium, whereas most of the time when we were up in the nosebleeds at Charlton and Tottenham, you got a little bit more of a different view. And then the same with the QPR game. Given where we were sat, we got a whole different view being right next to the away fans and being right there almost on the pitch. We were like 4 or 5 rows up. Another thing that differs about being in those different types of stadiums is the atmosphere. For the most part, all the atmospheres in all those grounds was awesome. I think it also helps that we only ended up seeing one loss. And the one loss, we were right next to the away fans. So the atmosphere for us was a whole lot different anyways. Being at Tottenham's game, the Tottenham brand new stadium obviously was probably built with the atmosphere in mind, and so there must have been a little bit of a building modification in order for them to really amplify the sound, because it sounded like there was 100,000+ fans in there, not just 66,000 on a sellout night against West Ham. When we were at the QPR game and they lost to Peterborough fans were literally right next to us, and they were in our face the whole night. We didn't really get much of a break, even though we weren't too particularly bothered by their chants. A lot of the people around us didn't seem to take too kindly to their not-so-kind words. At the Leighton game, you could definitely tell they were a family sort of team, like the families go to those games as opposed to the groups of boys and lads and everything you'd want to call them who go to all the other games, because there wasn't so much of an atmosphere there. There was obviously some chants and all these other things, but for the most part that was the quietest game we went to, and it was one of the more lively ones when we actually got to see a goal go in. So I think just because it was a family-oriented club didn't mean that they didn't have as much of an atmosphere as like a QPR, but you could definitely tell the difference between the two of them. The quality of the pitch was another thing I noticed. You could definitely tell when we went to Leighton Orient that the pitch would have definitely not passed the inspection at Tottenham or even QPR's ground. QPR and Wimbledon had very similar looking grounds and pitch keep up and maintenance, but Leighton was like night and day difference between a Tottenham, and so you see all the dead grass and like ripped up patches, and then at Tottenham the field looked just pristine, like nobody even stepped on it. So there's little nuances and little things that you notice that are different and just probably curated a little bit different once you're at these different sorts of levels of clubs and all those sorts of different things. So the main differences being the quality of the pitch, atmosphere, and the actual style of the stadium are all just those little things you notice once you've gone to those games. And obviously the more higher up you tend to be, the more of a difference that tends to make, and the more you can really shape how that stadium feels depending on where you are in the league tables. So just wanted to cover all those sorts of differences you notice at the different levels, because even though it's all under the same game, there's a lot of differences when you move down and up the leagues, and sort of what you'll get as the experience when you go to those certain games. And so just wanted to share that.